pagi ini dalam kuliah Global International. So, apa khabar semua? Sihat ke?
Sihat doktor.
So, Alhamdulillah. Waktu pun sihat. So, Alia macam mana sihat? And Syafiqah and Auni, apa khabar? Okay, Auni.
Ya, betul.
Okay, Syafiqah macam mana?
Okey, doktor.
Alhamdulillah. So, pagi ni sebenarnya nanti 10 saya nak kena ke Kuala Lumpur. Jadi saya akan buat kuliah ni saya rasa sampai pukul 9.50 macam tu. 2 jam saja hari ni. Kemudian selepas tu insyaAllah kita akan ada kita panggil kerja lah untuk kamu buat sampai ada remaining time tu kalau boleh kamu gunakan masa tu untuk start semua. Dan di portal kita saya dah letak yang untuk kamu submit exercise yang saya bagi dengan kamu pada minggu lepas. Okay. Kita perlu buat exercise tu. Topik dalam chapter 3 ni dia akan jadi satu soalan dalam final exam nanti. Topik tentang intellectuality ni akan jadi satu topik dalam final exam nanti. Okay. So today I would like to have our class till about 9:50 because on 10 o'clock I need to take a car for heading to Kuala Lumpur. So, to stop it on 9:50 and then the remaining time I will give the exercise to be done. So you can use the remaining time for the part. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So now I would like to on my screen sharing. Okay, before we go for that, so I'm going to attend the meeting at JFKL. So I would like to know if there are any problems about the application for the summer camp program. Yeah, some of you have sent or submit the form. So do you have any problems about that, most?
No problem doktor. I already submit to
Okay.
GFKL doktor. They
And
already accepted my email.
so Safika, any problem about that?
No, doctor. I also already submit, doctor.
Okay, thank you. So I've been told by my colleague Mr. Malaya who share the information about that program. You took that JFKL will directly contact the applicant for the online interview. So I don't know who will be the interview, maybe persons from the JFKL. So good luck for those who are applying for the program, Satika and others. So, submit the application. Okay. Selamat berjaya. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan nak tanya nanti, beritahu dengan saya. So, saya pun akan kerja sekarang hari ini. Sama dengan dekan sekali. Akan dampur. Itu sudah daripada kita lah. Okay, so now, Zhao, how are you, Zhao?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, Genki desu ka? Alright, so now everybody will join our Like now. So now I would like to share the screen. Okay. So today is 8th of so February. No, March. Okay, March 2025, Saturday. So what we are going to do today is to continue our discussions about interest parity conditions. Interest parity conditions on chapter 5. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 of our so what call it textbook. Okay. So we are in the topic that we call it as the demand for foreign currency asset. Demand of foreign currency asset. So you can find the subtopic in our textbook. Can you see my screen now, Mus?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Clear.
Okay, alright. So we are discussing about demand for the foreign currency asset. Okay, foreign currency asset might be the deposit. Okay. So we know from our last discussion that foreign currency deposit, okay, value or future value depends on first interest rate. Yeah, there is the return of that deposit, and it also be affected by the, yes, exchange rate or expected exchange rate, and even exchange rate is the today exchange rate. Okay? And today exchange rate. Or in short, this factor, exchange rate and expected exchange rate and interest rate, are three factors that affect the value of foreign currency deposit. Okay? Foreign currency deposit. So when we have a money, we need to determine whether to invest in a domestic country or in foreign country based on these three factors: interest rate, expected exchange rate, and the exchange rate or today exchange rate or current exchange rate. Or in short, we need to think about the exchange rate. Okay? So let me see this point in Malay. So daripada perbincangan kita yang lepas, kita sedang bincang tentang exchange rate. Dan hari ni kita nak bincang dalam konteks permintaan terhadap aset dalam mata wang asing, foreign currency, mata wang asing. Foreign currency ni mata wang asing. Jadi aset yang di luar negara, yang ditawarkan di luar negara, contohnya deposit luar negara, deposit dalam mata wang asing. Jadi foreign currency deposit mata wang asing, nilai dia pada masa depan, future value, bergantung kepada kadar faedah. Ini faktor-faktor yang akan mempengaruhi permintaan terhadap aset. Ataupun mudahnya, apabila kita hendak memiliki aset antarabangsa, kita akan memikirkan tentang kadar faedah dan juga kadar tukaran. Kadar tukaran ini terbahagi kepada dua. Satu expected, ini maksudnya yang masa depan, setelah tahun depan lah. Sebabnya selalunya deposit, kadar faedah dia ditentukan dalam masa setahun. Jadi itu kita katakan tahun depan lah sebenarnya. Jadi expected currency pada tahun depan dan juga kadar tukaran semasa. Kadar tukaran hari ini ataupun kadar tukaran semasa. Jadi semudahnya ada dua faktor, kadar faedah dan juga kadar tukaran. Okay. Sebenarnya biasa je dalam kehidupan kita biasa pun, bila kita nak memiliki aset luar negara, kita kena fikirkan kadar tukaran lain daripada kadar faedah. Kalau kita dalam negara saja, kita just fikir kadar faedah saja lah. Bank mana yang tawarkan deposit yang paling tinggi, di situ kita akan labur. Nak labur dalam ASB ke, nak labur dalam tabung haji ke, nak labur dalam apa, kalau dalam negara kita lah. Tapi kalau luar negara, selain daripada kadar faedah, kita kena fikirkan kadar tukaran. Okay? So that is the demand for foreign currency asset. It depends on the interest rate and the exchange. And the exchange rate divided into two. That is today exchange rate or current exchange rate, and the future exchange rate or the expected exchange rate. Okay? So the deposit or our determinations of a deposit differ from the domestic deposit and the foreign deposit because of these factors. For the domestic deposit, we just need to think about the interest rate. We don't need to think about the exchange rate. So we determine where to put our money just on the interest rate, whether to put it on tabung haji or on ASB or in other financial institutions, based on the return that they promise to us. But when we want to put our money abroad or in a foreign currency deposit, we need to think interest rate and plus the exchange rate. So that is the point. So when we talk about the asset, okay, so we need to think about the asset and the asset return. Okay, asset and the asset return. So, for example, what we need to think is about the rate of return. Rate of return. The rate of return is the interest rate plus the exchange rate. Okay. So, for example, in our textbook, as it takes example of the US, so Americans need to know about the interest rate in US and the interest rate in Europe, okay, or European countries. So we need to know the USD over Euro, or if we use the symbol, so this symbol, okay, there is the exchange rate between USD and Euro. Okay. And you need to know the Euro rate. So you need to know the rate of return by depositing the money in US and rate of return by depositing the money in Euro. Okay. So and then we need to change there. You need to change the deposit in Euro to a similar amount or value. Okay? So that is, we call it as dollar rate of return. The dollar rate of return for Euro, for deposit in US, what they need just the interest rate. But when they put the money in Euro, they need to know the interest rate and also, yes, the exchange rate. Okay? Exchange rate. Exchange rate of today exchange rate or current exchange rate and the expected. So we can illustrate that. Okay? When we talk about the foreign asset and their asset return, we need to know the rate of return in our currency. For example, for dollar, we need to know the dollar rate of return. So we need to change from Euro. We need to change from Euro. Euro is the European currency to dollar. Okay. On particular year. So how to change it? By the exchange rate. Okay, exchange rate between US and the Euro. Okay, so we need to multiply the amount by the exchange rate. So simply, as what we have already know about this point, there is when we deposit our money in foreign country, we need to think about the exchange rate. Why? Because it affects our deposit in the future. Okay. So let me put this point in Malay. So kita dapati bahawa apabila kita memikirkan antara negara ataupun pelaburan antara bangsa dalam proses ini, katakanlah deposit, kita fikirkan apa bentuk aset itu dan juga apa dia punya pulangan aset. Pulangan ke atas aset. Bila memikirkan pulangan ke atas aset, kita panggil dia sebagai kadar pulangan lah. Kadar pulangan. Kadar pulangan ini perlu diambil kira dengan nilai mata wang. Contohnya, dolar bagi American lah. Okay. So, bila kita nak tukar kepada dolar ini, kita kena tahu dia punya exchange rate. Okay. Exchange rate. Jadi, aset tersebut bukan saja interest rate seperti kita katakan tadi pada atas tadi, dia juga bergantung kepada exchange rate. Katakanlah dalam buku teks kita, dia cerita tentang US dan Euro. So, American, apabila dia nak melabur di Euro, dia kena tahu berapa interest rate di Euro dan juga exchange rate sekarang, hari ini, ataupun semasa, dan juga expected pada tahun depan. Kenapa kita ambil tahun depan? Selalunya interest rate dia bagi dalam nilai tahun lah, pelaburan tahun. Okay. Jadi, tahun depan, nilai tersebut dalam dolar berapa? Okay. So, itu kita panggil dollar rate of return. Jadi, kalau dalam ringgit ni, kita panggil ringgit rate of return lah. Kita ada duit ringgit, kita nak melabur di Thailand atau di Malaysia. So, bila kita nak compare tu, kita kena pada nilai yang sama lah. Okay. So, nilai dalam ringgit. Atau bagi American, nilai dalam dolar. Okay. So simply dia work macam tu. Kan? Baik. So we found out that the amount of return depends on the interest rate and exchange rate. And this can be simplified by using this simple formula. There is R, there is interest rate, let's say in euro, plus expected exchange rate, E for the exchange rate, and the small superscript E is the expected. So, and subscript dollar per euro show the expected exchange rate of dollar per euro. Let's say 1 year further. Minus E, the H2, the exchange rate of dollar per euro, divide by exchange rate of dollar per euro. So this amount is the expected rate of dollar depreciation against euro. So this one is, let me put here, expected rate of dollar depreciation against euro. This part. And this part is, and while this is the today interest rate. Today interest rate on 1 year deposit, let's say, on 1 year deposit. So this part. And then if we make more clear, so this point is the what we call it as the dollar euro exchange rate expected to prevail in the future, 1 year in future. So this is the dollar over the euro exchange rate. I put it at X rate expected to prevail or to be happen in 1 year in the future. Meanwhile, this part, so this part is the today exchange rate. So this is this part now. This part is the today exchange rate. Today exchange rate. So the point that we discuss here, can be illustrated by this simple formula. By this simple formula. So this is the total rate of return in what we call it, in deposit in the uh, in the euro. Okay. So then, how we determine our what we call it uh, deposit, or where to put our money. Okay. So we need to compare with the return in US in this case. Okay. So rate of return in US minus the rate of return that we call in euro. Okay. So rate of return in euro, as we have seen in this point, in the upper point. Okay, so rate of return in US minus this one. So E minus E over E. Okay. So that is the point. So this is what we call it as the interest parity. Okay. So this is the final point that we need to know the difference between rate of return in US and the rate of return in the foreign country, whether it is positive or whether it is negative. Alright, so which is the larger? So now, if there is difference between rate of return in one country and the other, then the money will move. So our deposit will move from one country to others. Why? Because we want the higher rate of return. So that is the point. Okay. So when is the equilibrium, or there is no movement of money or deposit between countries? Okay. So we call it as the equilibrium. Equilibrium in the forex market. In the forex. So money will not move between countries. So equilibrium in this point, let's simplify as follows. So there is no movement of deposit of all currency. When it happens? It happens when all deposits offer the same expected rate of return. Okay, so it happens when all deposits, all currencies offer the same expected rate of return. So there is distribution, or there is the equilibrium in the forex, or the international, what we call it, deposit of currency. So we don't move our money if all deposits give the same expected rate of return. So this condition, we call it as interest parity condition. Interest parity condition. Okay, let's call it as IPC. Okay, interest parity condition. So all deposit, all currency deposit, meaning that per deposit in US, deposit in Euro, or deposit give the similar rate of return. Then there is no movement of currency between countries. Okay? So, for example, take dulu. Okay? Example one. Let's say interest rate in US 10%, okay, 10%, and interest rate in Euro is 6%, okay, is 6%. Then expected exchange rate between US and Euro, let's say 8%. 8% depreciate. Depreciate at 8%. Okay. So what will happen? We move our money to Euro or no? So how to think this point? Yes, we use this formula. We use this formula. Example two. Example two. Now let's say interest rate is 10% in US and interest rate in Euro 12%. Okay, but expected exchange rate between US and Euro is 4% increase. Increase 4%. Okay. So what will happen when where we put our money? Where we put our money? Okay. So if rate of return of dollar deposit higher, then where did we put our money? Okay. And we found out. So I would like you to think about these two examples, example one and example two. Okay. So we found out that the money will not move between countries if there is parity. There is rate of return in US just similar to the rate of return that we put our money in Euro. So how much we got from Euro? There is expected exchange rate and the rate of return itself. Okay. So that is the point. So this is the condition. So this is the conditions that we call it as interest parity condition. Interest parity condition. There is return rate of return in US and rate of return in other countries are similar, then there is the interest parity condition. There is no movement between countries. Okay. So how change in the current exchange rate affect the expected return? Okay. So the point is that we need how changes in the current or today exchange rate. Let's say today exchange rate, okay, affect the expected return. Okay. So how it affect the expected return? Alright. Hmm. So I hope how we explain this point. Please read table 3.4. Okay. Please read yourself table 3.4. Okay. So read table 3.4. And we now can build the correlations between rate and return and the exchange rate and rate of return and exchange rate to find the equilibrium exchange rate. Okay? So our idea here to show that the equilibrium exchange rate and the rate of return of the deposit. Okay? So in figure 3.3, we can show the equilibrium this point by looking at the correlation between expected dollar return on euro deposit. Okay. There is uh, interest plus the exchange rate depreciation and the current exchange rate or today exchange rate. We found out that when the dollar appreciate, then the expected rate of return uh, of euro deposit income. Okay? So in this case, for example, when we uh, assumes the expected exchange rate is 1.05 and the rate or interest rate is 0.05 in euro. Okay? So the appreciation of dollar will raise the expected return of the euro deposit. Hazrin? Okay, so this is the correlation between exchange rate and expected return of dollar. So now I would like to give you one exercise. One exercise, let's say exercise 1, okay, for today's exercise. Figure 3.4. Okay, figure 3.4. So figure 3.4 show the equilibrium of exchange rate. Okay, there is rate of return in dollar, okay, and the exchange rate. Okay. So we found this be expected. The curve was expected return on euro deposit and rate of return. Okay. This is rate of return of the interest in dollar. Okay. So the equilibrium point is at point 1. You can refer to textbook figure 3.4, and so this is the exchange rate. Okay. So my question is that explain why the equilibrium is at point 1. Okay. Explain why equilibrium is at point 1. So there is when the expected return on euro cross the rate of return. So let me summarize. Let me summarize our analysis today. So our analysis today is about the interest parity condition. Okay, there is the condition that show that there is equilibrium in exchange rate when there is the interest parity conditions. So when we are looking interest rate, when we're looking the exchange rate based on the asset approach, there is money move between country because of the asset or because the demand of deposit. Okay. So we found out that there is the idea when there is interest parity, there is return on deposit between countries at similar rate, then there is the equilibrium of the exchange rate. Okay, so we can show that exchange rate has the correlations with the return on the deposit. So figure 3.3 and figure 3.4 explains that condition and explains that idea. And the idea that we already know that is we move our money when we can get more by deposit our money or by investing our money in other countries. And then because of the exercise of putting or investing our money in foreign country, we need to know the exchange rate. The exchange rate effect the return of the deposit. So for the first part of our analysis, I would like to stop here. As I told you, today we need to stop our discussion at about 9:45, and then I open for the QR about 5 minutes, and then we need to stop at 9:50 since I need to take a drive to Kuala Lumpur today. And our second part today is the cyclic. Okay? Cyclic. So I would like to open our cyclic at about 9 o'clock. So we still have about 2 minutes for the discussion. So do you have any questions about the interest parity collision? Any questions?
So far, no, doctor.
Oh, okay.
Need to digest and to understand more in terms of
Okay.
table 3.3 and 3.4, doctor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh, all right. Thank you. So this part will be one of the questions for final exam. So please do the exercise and take a look on the figure 2.3 and 3.4. So Zhao, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, doctor.
Okay. So Shakira, do you have any questions? Safika, sorry, Safika, do you have any questions? Afini, do you have any questions?
No, doctor.
Okay. Sharawali, do you have any questions?
Yes, doctor. I have question.
Okay. Sharawali, have you submit the form?
Not yet, doctor. Still waiting from decan. SA.
Oh, okay. So you need to ask Dekan to do it today because tomorrow is the due date, right?
Yes, doctor.
What Dekan need to put on the form? He need to stamp it and sign the form. Sharawali, what Dekan need to do?
Sign and fill the form, doctor.
Oh, okay. And then send back to you via
Ye-
email.
yes, doctor.
Oh, okay. So please remind him by sending him an email. Maybe he forgot about that or he doesn't mention about that one. Okay. So thank you, Sharawali. So others, do you have any questions?
I have question,
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. Go ahead.
How we know the expected rate? Like
Oh,
how determine the expected rate?
okay. In our discussion in this text, we just assume, okay, we just assume the expected rate. So it is given. We didn't talk or we didn't analyze the expected rate. Okay, we just assume so that is the expected rate. So what will happen? Okay? Hmm. You got it?
So
Hmm.
only the expected rate, doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah. But in a real situation, for example, as if we study in in another topic that is international finance, we learn how to determine the exchange rate. So there's a lot of factors. So demand of exchange rate, we call it demand of exchange rate itself. So it might be affected by the import export, asset, and so on. And then also the inflation and also the productivity and so on will affect the exchange rate. But this time we just to say the uh, the conditions of the investment. So we just assume expected rate is given expected rate. But if the expected rate uh, decrease or increase, it will affect the rate of return. So future rate might be determined by a lot of the factor of determination of demand. And if we assume in the future the rate will increase or the rate will decrease, then it affects the exchange rate. It affects the rate of return. So the comparisons between future rate and today's rate determine the amount of depreciation and appreciation. So if we assume that there is depreciation, then it affects the rate of return. We assume the depreciation, and then it affects the rate of return. So that is the point. Okay, so I hope you took it in deep, and then think about that effect of depreciation and appreciation. Okay. Okay, now today, let's turn. So we don't have time for rest today because we need to stop our class a bit early. So let's continue our reading of stick leak. So I would like to now turn our screen back from sharing, and then Mr. Wang, welcome to our class for the second time. So now,
Yes, doctor.
okay, so today I need to stop our class a bit early because I need to attend a meeting in Kuala Lumpur. So I will stop our class about 9:45. So we have about 40 minutes for reading the stick list. Okay, so now for today, who are going to read first? I think we should start with Sherawali. Can Sherawali you read the point?
Can, Doctor?
Yes, please.
Domestic policies for making globalization work for all. As most
Sorry, Sherawali, it page 38, eh? What
37,
is page number?
37, Doctor.
37, okay. So everybody, please open 37. So domestic policies for marking globalization work for all, isn't it?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so please read it.
Domestic policies for making globalization work for all. As most countries, and especially smaller ones, began thinking about globalization impacts, they don't began with the grandiose question of how they can change the global rules. They began with the more modest question, how should they design their economic policy?
Because we cannot read all parts of this book in our class, but we need to read this book in our class as we practice of the sharing idea and sharing idea deeply through the Zemi style. But I would like you to write 2 pages, okay, 2 pages, writing your opinion about this book, okay? All right, your opinion about this book. You got it? Just in 2 pages, okay? So I will set the submit section in our portal via the online learning. Then you can submit your writing there. Okay. So today I already opened the submission button or submission section for the previous exercise. So now you can submit your last week exercise. So today we have 2 exercise. The first one is about interest parity too, and the second one is about the globalization book, about the state league book. So write your opinion in just 2 pages in English about this book. Okay, it's open. You can write anything, your opinion about this book. Okay, you got it? You got it, Mos? Okay, Alia, thank you. Now, you got it?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, Auni, you got it? And how about Zakaria? You got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. But Wang, you don't need to submit, but you can continue read this book. And yeah, one of the purpose of our reading is to read it loudly, to understand the way they're writing, and the most important point, to understand the globalizations. Okay. So I think I would like to stop here for our discussions today. Now I would like to share my screen for the QR code. So I'm sorry for a bit early.
Doctor, the link for the previous exercise is under interest parity, Doctor.
Yeah, yes, still in
Oh,
chapter 3.
okay. So the last exercise we submit under interest parity. So for today exercise, Doctor will create a new link for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
submission.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. So now you can you can scan the QR code and then leave the meeting. So thank you for today. Terima kasih untuk hari ini. InsyaAllah kita mendapat perkataan sama. And then still we are in the Ramadan. So Ramadan Mubarak to all. And selamat puasa kepada semua. So insyaAllah kita jumpa lagi next week. So we meet again next week insyaAllah. So thank you for today.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Alright.
Doctor.
Yeah,
Uh,
welcome.
safe drive safely, Doctor.
InsyaAllah.
Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, Doctor.